Good evening and good afternoon, everyone. I believe we are online, and with us we have our special guest with us, Sonia. How are things?
Hello, namaste. Good afternoon from
Namaste.
Portugal to all
Mm.
of you, and good evening to Malaysia, Hong Kong, Nepal, India, etc. So,
I,
hi to
I'm
all.
I'm very flattered that our loading screen has those three big cities as the marker for the streaming times, right? Like it's like
Yeah,
live streaming now. It's like there's London and
yeah,
New York and Hong Kong, very fancy. But
yes.
obviously, like this stream, at least in its current format,
Hmm.
is only in its second episode, and so we're very proud to have you for
Oh, please.
our second guest, and it's going to be as with last time before, an ongoing conversation, very casual, very relaxed. And so I hope, whichever viewers we have will enjoy this pace of discussion.
Okay.
And also, please do, by all means, leave comments and greetings and importantly questions, because we will be answering them, alive and to the best of our ability. And so, today we're doing sort of like a dialogue,
Yes.
uh, women East and West, how to elevate, you know, women with the Dharma, and I think this is a um, interesting conversation because you could just look at it from the lens of Western feminism, right, and the sort of like long conversation that feminists do have with Buddhism. But I think we also need to take into context, the Asian
Yeah, the
perspective,
East. Yes,
the East, right? And so
absolutely.
here we're going to um, here we're going to sort of dance a delicate dance, right,
Hmm.
between East and West,
Yeah,
and see what can we learn from each other and each
yeah.
other's shortcomings as well. So I wanted to kick you off, Sonia, because I saw that you made a comment on the virtual Vaishaka Buddha Purnima Divas.
Yes.
Divas, right? Like, and this is a big event um, between the Ministry of Culture and its a branch organization.
Yeah.
You know as much as I do,
Yeah.
the IBC, International
Yes.
Buddhist
Yeah, I
Confederation,
know.
and um, I think someone made the very relevant comment. Is I think like of the head count here,
And
right?
that what is this? Please, yes, I made a comment because it's three women only, and it's a shame. This is what I have to say about that. If we are starting this way, first I want to thank you so much for inviting me for this dialogue. It's an honor. First, because you are my friend, I really like to have and see your interviews. I really admire your work. So
Thank you,
for
thank you,
me,
thank you,
you are
thank
a
you, thank you,
wonderful journalist, and it's a pleasure for me to have this interview with you.
thank you
Second,
so much.
because the first one was Dr. Mattia Salvini, also someone I deeply appreciated. And I
Yes, he's
felt
amazing.
very
Yes.
flattered to be, the second one. Like
No,
my
no,
ego
you're
now.
you're there, you're there, you're there, you're right there with him. No kidding.
No, he's amazing. He's something very. He's Dr. Mattia is incredible. Anyway, about your question, because I made a comment on that post, yeah, because I was very shocked and
Mm,
surprised when I saw a panel with
mm.
three female.
Yeah.
Uh, I was looking at that and I asked myself, when will this thing stop? Definitely, because we are in the 21st century. We are in a world full of war
Mm,
and problem, and this is a male-dominated world. I don't want Buddhism to be a male-dominated thing. This is not going to end well. We
yeah.
are already seeing many things like abuse case, corruption case, political case, everything. So
Yes.
when I look at this panel, for such a big, important organizations, and of course involving Minister of Culture and ICB, I ask myself, well, sometimes we are invited to talk about female empowerment and female in the Dharma, and you just put three women to talk there, and yes,
Yeah.
20. How many are male? I lost my account. Sorry.
I mean, yeah, I mean, they're several times the number, right, of the women.
So you multiply by three. I guess you had a full universe of male. So for me, it's perfect. I mean, I like male. Please, I like male. I really like, and I have.
Some of them are all right. Some of them are all right.
No, I have wonderful relationship with male, and I have so many male friends, and
Yeah.
especially, in fact, I can say I have wonderful relation with male,
Mm.
and with women sometimes it's quite complicated. Many of them they criticize me a lot,
Yeah.
and yeah, so it's normal. But what I don't like to see is this male-dominated thing around the Dharma. I mean, whatever big events you have, this is not the first time. There was another time, and I will be say very directly here, I had to remove my post because I have in deep consideration the person that wrote it, and I just post a comment on Facebook. In that time, it was in Shirley Rinpoche cremation
Right.
in Nepal,
Right.
and somebody posts something saying, please don't tell me that Dharma is not totally dominated by male, because in the ceremonies, all the people that were conducting the ceremonies were male. And the female, even, the teachers, the wives, whatever, they were all behind.
Yeah.
I ask myself, how these teachers, especially tertons and this, that, how do they do their things without female? It's just something I don't understand. So why they need to be up and in a upper level and always recognized as something very, male, and female have to be in the back, you know I don't understand. So that for me is totally, it may be a tradition, maybe whatever, but we need to
Yeah.
adapt to reality. If Buddha was living in our days, he will adapt to our days, I'm sure. He will use WeChat like all Rinpoches do. He will use WhatsApp. He will promote his events, maybe, I don't know. So different attitude is required, not only to use technology, but also to behave with women. This is very important. Not be modern only in WeChat or using technology, but be modern, accepting women equal as men. This is very, very important.
I like to remind myself that from the foundation of the women's Buddhist order, right? Like, so as you know the story well,
Yeah.
Mahaprajapati
Yes.
founded the women's order. And of course, in my mind, and maybe Buddhist scholars have their own. I don't think I think it's hard to estimate the exact number because we just don't have the information. But
Mm,
even if it was a smaller number than the bhikkhus, right? Like
mm,
it would have been a decent number. It
yeah.
would not be the sort of like catastrophically low ratio
Yeah.
that we saw in the previous example, right?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I don't know what you think about, like quotas. And like in the West for the longest time they have tried to do quotas, right? So
Yeah.
50% of
Yeah.
um, or females on board, on
Yeah.
government
On parliaments,
advisory.
yes.
Yeah, that so there's certainly that conversation that's in that direction. But
Mm,
I think the question needs to be asked: is this low number,
mm.
like 3 to like 15 or 20, right? Is that natural? Is that
No.
desirable? And
No.
yeah, and I think you and I would agree that it's not really that
No.
it's not natural. It's not even an effort. They haven't even put in an effort to say, hey,
No. No.
let's inch it up to maybe a third, a third, or even a quarter. So that.
Well. I'm not very fan of the quota system.
Yes,
Because
yes.
I also think women must be much more engaged.
Right.
I must say this. That's why many women criticize me and they say, oh, you always talk about female empowerment and female in this and that. And then
Yeah.
you say female are not too much engaged. Yes, female also need to assume their role. They don't need
Yes.
to be afraid to assume their role. They need to be empowered. They need to
Mm.
be secure of themselves. And they
Yeah.
need to be aware they have a role in society and in the Dharma.
Right.
And in the Dharma, they have a role in the Dharma, because if all sentient beings have been our mothers, they have a role in the Dharma.
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
Because I don't see any male that is a mother. So I'm so sorry, I see many males discussing Buddhism, but mothers, I don't see males. So um, I don't like the quota system, because that is it's politics. Then you begin to put women in places like you put male, according to friendships, according to structures like umbrella structures. We
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
talked about that.
Yeah.
So I'm totally against that. I
And
think
also,
women
yeah.
should go according to their characteristics, to their value, to their capacity of work, to their
Yeah.
capacity of leadership. This is the most important. They don't need to ask men, please give me 1%, okay, one third, like a beggar. No,
Yeah.
they have a natural place, they have their natural role, but they also need to engage and stop thinking, oh, this is male issue, this is boring, oh, I don't want to be involved in Dharma, I don't want to be involved in conflict, because this is not kind. This idea of kindness in Buddhism, everything must be very kind, very sweet, this is not true. Sometimes need to be very wrathful, sometimes need to be very unpleasant. That's why
Mm.
we practice Buddhism.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, according to the principles of Vajrayana, I mean, there's, I think your argument is very sound. I think now here, and this is where the question of culture, this is
Yeah.
where the question of culture comes in, because like quotas are a fairly Western thing,
Yes.
but like at the same time, like as you say, sometimes females can hold themselves back, um,
Absolutely.
and we have plenty of anecdotal evidence.
Yeah.
And you at your conferences, I myself, in my own
Yeah.
work, we've solicited involvement
Yeah.
from various members of the community, the female community, whether it be lay or monastic.
Yeah.
And sometimes sometimes you just get the brutal, simple reply that I that's not my place. That's not my that's not
Who,
in
who
my
to, that is a very important question. Who told them that?
right.
Who told them that was not their place?
Yep. Yep.
Sometimes women told them this was not her place, their
Mm.
mothers.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So everything starts with education. You need to educate female. You need
Mm.
it, and I realize that in Eastern society more than
Mm.
Western society, but even in the West, people don't. Please don't play this American dream or this Western fancy dream that everything here is free, that women are very advanced and very they can do whatever they want. This is not very true.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
much freedom also can be very damaging, you know and
Yeah.
sometimes in the West this too much freedom can takes you to loneliness,
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
totally you are totally lost because you can do everything. So the middle
Sure.
path, the middle path in
Sure.
the
Sure.
East,
Sure.
you have a big problem. It's education, because you are educated under very deep patriarchic values.
Yes.
And then for women, it's not appropriated to give a speech, it's not appropriate to have opinion about many things. It's not nice. Women should just support their husband, the family, and that's all.
Mm.
If they begin to have too much interference in many issues like politics, like even in the Dharma, this and that, whoa, this is not your place. This is teach at home and
Yeah.
in schools and everywhere. So how do we expect to have people behaving differently? This starts with education.
is it a question of, choice and mobility, like to sort of say that, look, it's fine if you want to remain in the home. It's
Mhm.
fine if you want to play the traditional part. But
Mhm.
what we are hoping for to see one day is additional choices. Additional choices. I don't have to eat out. I don't have to eat just one dish every
Mhm.
single day, right?
Mhm.
I want
Yeah.
to be able to I want to be able to eat this dish or sample that. And
Yeah.
so just like that, like
Yeah.
females want to have like a different
Mhm.
path.
Mhm.
And I think that might be something that, Buddhist women would appreciate a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't see any problem for women to have their role as a family pillar, let's
Mm.
say like this, and
Yeah,
also as great leaders.
yeah,
Um, One thing doesn't create problem to the other, but in people mind, that
yeah.
create problem, because then you have the problem, and this I talk by my own experience. Then you have the problem that if you begin to dedicate too much work to a cause, or to politics, or to dharma, or whatever, then people begin to say you spend too much time in your work,
Mm,
business, this, that, then you don't pay the proper attention to your family environment. So you are not a good mother, or you are not a good wife.
mm,
And then women have this on their shoulders, like, oh, if I do this, then I don't have time for my family, then
mm.
I'm not a good wife, I'm not a good mother, you know. And they forget to be a good sentient being.
Yeah,
So for me, this is very clear. My family is not
mm,
my blood family only. My family
yeah,
is the world.
absolutely.
My daughter is not only my blood daughter, is
Right.
my daughters in the world. That's why I go Nepal and India.
Yep.
My from this is universal. So I forgot sometimes my family. I don't forget, but sometimes I don't have so much time because I dedicate to the wall.
Yeah.
And this is I try to be a better sentient being.
Yes.
I don't have to prove nothing to nobody, that I'm a very good mother, that I'm a very good wife. I don't have to prove that. I have to prove that to myself, that I have to
Mm,
be a good sentient being. This is the problem. Women, they lack this confidence
yeah.
to say, I don't care what people will think. I am determined and I will go. They are very conditioned by values, by society, by patriarchy, and
Yeah.
everything. And even in the Dharma, I myself assist that in conference. Sometimes a woman says something, people laugh.
People laugh, huh?
Yeah, like,
That's
oh,
not very nice.
it's a
Like,
woman,
like what's so funny about what she says?
It's not the question of what she said, maybe the
Mm,
way she said.
yeah.
Like she's very not strong, not impetuous, not determined. Then
Yeah.
oh, we have to have women here, so you see.
Actually, it's interesting you relate that kind of example, that
Yeah,
situation, because that sounds
yeah,
very much like in a Western setting,
yeah,
like a boardroom or like
yeah,
anywhere
yeah.
where as I'm sure you know about this. Oh, and let's not talk about Hispanic style machismo and that kind of thing. I mean, like
South Europe.
Southern Europe machismo.
Yeah,
My goodness. But you will get that. You will
mm,
get like like
yeah,
the
yeah, I know.
the group of chums who, like there is that one person who got her foot in the door, right? But it's almost as if out of reflex or out of some sort of instinctive defensiveness. It's like, okay, let's close ranks and sort of remind her what is the dominant culture here. And the
Yeah,
dominant culture here is one of almost exaggerated hyper masculinity, right?
yeah,
And that necessarily involves, kind of like, the rest, shouting down, um, outward scorn, like chest thumping,
yeah,
all that kind of thing. And so, like that is a conditioning that is you, as you said, you've identified it even in the conferences.
Yeah. Yeah. And that not only that, you see this in the West, for example, you see this in politics.
Yeah,
Sometimes, if a woman doesn't behave like a male in politics, then
yeah,
men laugh.
yeah.
Well, you see, for example, I give always the example Miss Thatcher, nobody laugh.
Mm.
Miss Margaret Thatcher, she was called the Iron Lady. She was a
Yeah,
man, she
yeah,
was very male. See,
yeah.
you see Angela Merkel, also very masculine, or need to be this play
Yes,
this very serious, very strict. Do male need to be like that? I think also this is a problem of very bad integration of male aspect in the males,
yes,
you know, because
yes.
they repress their emotions. They think, oh, here comes the lady with this very, crying and this sweet thing, mommy thing. Yeah, but they need mommy. They miss mommy.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this is the point. But they cannot show that because that is not a male. What are you? You cannot cry. This is not a male thing. Who are you? So this is all education, culture,
yeah.
education. It's everywhere. And then we could bring the sexual aspect, of course. Because, for example, this also I must say directly.
Sure.
If you are a beautiful woman, everything is easy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay?
I
Then
get that.
everything
Yeah,
is much easier.
yeah.
If you are not so beautiful woman, then it's very complicated. Then you really need to show the double
Mm,
your worth. This is
yeah.
also very sad.
It's very it speaks a lot to the damage that patriarchy can do, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then you end up, with the good looking ones, being complicit, whether they're aware of it or not, in perpetuating the cycle of conditioning.
Exactly.
Um, and then of course you get those who of plainer looks that
Yes.
that do not get a chance to express to show their
Yeah.
capabilities,
Yeah.
which have
Yeah.
nothing to do with being a
Yeah.
model or anything like that. I
I'm
think.
talking more about my experience in Vajrayana, but not only in Vajrayana, other traditions too.
Yeah.
That is visible, except Theravada, not too much. But yes, I think it's visible everywhere because, people have this, it's a natural tendency. But
Mm,
if we go to Buddhism, I think
yeah.
people forget the basic.
Yeah.
We talk about women in Buddhism and we forgot the basic. I said this in one conference in India in 2017,
Yeah.
in
A long.
Dekshal conference.
Yep.
I said that we are discussing women, but nobody talks about Sujata. If it was not Sujata, Buddha maybe was not enlightened.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably
So
dead. Yeah.
please, so I said, what are you saying? How could you have a panel with 20 men and 3 women? You are totally ignoring the woman that saved Buddha's life.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. So while women also are not aware of those things and begin to realize, no, our role in Buddhism is very important
Mm,
because Sujata bring food to the Buddha. He was dying. If it was not that woman, he will not
mm.
be able to reach enlightenment because his body will fail.
Yes.
Nobody says these things. If you go to Vajrayana and to deep esoteric tantric teachings, if tertons don't have their partner, then
Yeah.
no Dharma.
Yeah.
So what
Exactly.
are
Yeah.
you saying? How can you discuss a thing with 20 men and 3 women?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
For
Guru
sure.
Padmasambhava, he chose 2 female. He didn't choose male. He
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
choose,
Yeah.
he chose 2 female to give all his treasures and everything. Why?
And we could also go back to the early to the Buddha's very own life, where, if anything, it was his father who was more of a hindrance, right? Because
Yes.
he tried to keep him in the palace. He
Yes.
tried to keep him insulated from his destiny
Yeah.
of becoming a
Yeah.
sage, a teacher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas you look at the, the other the women beside him, right?
Yeah.
So you've got Mahaprajapati who nursed him.
Exactly.
But I mean,
Exactly.
Mahamaya who gave birth to him, and then there's Mahaprajapati, her sister, who
Exactly.
raised him from, and to some degree even Yashodhara as well, who is the subject of a lot of new scholarship,
Yeah.
and I think not revisionist is the wrong word, but a new perspectives on her role in
Mm.
you know
Yes.
being the Buddha's partner, and being a sort of like a companion or partner to enlightenment, as opposed to
Yes.
the traditional women's role, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And so I think like this whole thing with the Buddha's household, Shuddhodana, and this provides an insight into what has been apparently lost,
Yes.
don't you think?
I think yes, and I still think the same, that we have women that really engage in causes and try to push, in a positive sense, other women to realize their power
Yeah,
and to realize their importance in the Dharma context. And for example, this example of Sujata is one of them. You
yeah,
see, if you think in Sujata, you think, wow, we were the ones who gave Buddha the opportunity maybe to get enlightened. Otherwise,
yeah,
he will die.
yeah.
It was not a male that arrived there that had that compassion.
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
we
Yeah,
are ruled by patriarchy everywhere. This male dictating this, saying that, and where are these sujatas in our days?
yeah,
Where are the
and-
sujatas? Where are all the women you mentioned before? Where are they?
yeah, yeah. It's interesting. The
Where
very
is
first.
Mandarava? Where is Yeshe Tsogyal?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Ah,
so I think you're speaking of like a reimagining or a return
of course.
to the
Roots.
figures that are already there. It's not like we're making them up, right? We're not
No,
we're not we're not just
no,
thinking of new
no,
characters, right?
no.
I think what's absolutely quite a bit interesting is that the monastic models are actually there. And so, like, yes, there are some debates about like the guru dharmas, and like how reluctant the Buddha was. That's one aspect, right? But when you look at the Therigatha and all the lists of all of the nuns that sort of like attained realization and stuff, the monastic model is there
Yeah,
for the female community.
yeah.
But when you talk about Mandarava, Yeshe Tsogyal, and
Mm.
Sujata, who from the early
Sujata, yes. Sujata, definitely.
these are all new, sort of like unconventional, maybe because they're lay, I don't know, maybe they're
Yeah,
not monastic, they're kind
yeah,
of like they
yeah,
and we have not grappled with the idea of like not just monastic leaders, we want female lay leaders.
yeah,
And that is where perhaps we need to have a conversation.
yeah. Well, well, well. The monastic system, in my humble point of view, is very important. We need
Mm.
monastic system, that is
Yep,
obvious.
yep.
But we need to rethink monastic system.
Mm.
This is my invitation to all these male that are discussing I don't know what, that sit there. I am inviting them to discuss this. How to change
Yep.
this model that is not serving the 21st century and the
Mm.
youth.
Yep.
I invite to this discussion all these male. Please, I want to hear what model do they have to propose to the 21st century and to make youth interest in join monastic life. Please, these gentlemen, these all male, these people, please, I invite them to discuss that. Because you see, in our days, let's talk about the East now.
Right.
Something I know very well due to my journeys and the places I go. In the East, we have a totally unbalanced monastic system. Why? Because children, they go to monastery very, very young, They
Yeah.
come from remote villages in India and Nepal, and they are put in monasteries because their fathers cannot afford to feed them
Yeah.
and to sustain them. So monastery is kind of a deposit of children to go to school, because
Yeah.
other way, no life. So these children didn't choose to be a monk.
Mm.
Then they grow up. What happens? They study in the monastery, they grow up. Then a big part of them, and nobody talks about this. I would like to see this male discussing this.
Yeah.
Big part of them, when they are 20s, 20 something, they disrobe. They left the monastery.
Yeah.
They
Yeah. They
want
do.
a
Yeah.
lay life.
Yeah.
So monastery engaged and gave them education,
Yep.
invest in them because you need resource. That is an
Yep.
investment. And then when they are aware, they say, no, we don't want to be monks. We want to go.
Yeah.
So you put a child because you cannot afford to sustain her in a monastery just
Mm.
to educate her. And then this person realized, oh, when I took monk vows, I didn't know what was that. I was
Yes.
a child. I was very young. I properly didn't want to be a monk. Or many, they are monks and they have, I will not discuss their conduct. I don't want this kind of discussion here, but we all know what is the behavior. So please.
Talking about tradition, right? I think that becomes quite an invalid argument when you're talking about gender, because the Buddha had very clear guidelines, even with the radically lower life expectancy back in India. So like a kid, a kid could join the monastery. This is true. Like
Yes.
before they're even 15 years old. I think there was a cut off age, but there were specific questions to ask the kid.
Yeah.
Like have both your parents consented.
Yes.
Now, of course, you could say, oh well, maybe they couldn't afford him, but
Yeah.
there would the sangha would also say, is your family in debt? So
Yes.
there is that element of caution as
Yeah.
to we're not an orphanage.
Yeah.
We are here for
Yeah.
people who need an ideal environment to practice the spiritual path.
Exactly.
And somewhere along the line, and this goes beyond gender, this is
Yeah.
something, as you rightfully allude to, it's got something to do with sociological
Yeah.
dimensions,
Yeah.
cultural,
Yeah.
political,
Yeah.
economic dimensions. And so
Exactly.
it has led to the point where, as you've traveled widely in Nepal and India and elsewhere, a culture
Yeah.
and a monastic economy
Yeah.
of young boys and men,
Yeah.
being being put into monasteries not of their own free choice.
Yeah. Yes.
And
Yes.
this is very hard. This is not really, and like no offense to the
No,
to our
no.
great many monasteries
No,
that
of course
like.
not. We are not here criticizing. We are just raising a question. Very different than this is critical thinking and positive thinking. We need to raise questions. Buddha told us to question everything.
Yeah, that's
And
what
we
he said.
don't practice. Even women, they don't apply
Yeah.
Buddha teachings.
Yeah.
They don't reflect. They don't question.
And
See,
no matter how we square the circle, we simply cannot get past the fact that the Buddha himself did not want people ordaining
like that.
like what how so many young boys are ordaining now.
Yes. Yes.
And I put it forward to you that this can, when they disrobe or whatever,
Yeah.
or during their time in the monastery, it can lead to a lot of psychological harm.
Yes. We know
Uh,
that. We already have a lot of cases. And for example, this is very public because it came in the newspapers, what I'm going to say. And
mm,
it was something that I was very curious when I went to Bhutan, that they distribute condoms in the monasteries
mm,
because of the sexual transmissible disease. So for me, everything is said. This has got also to do with sexual education that is very poor. People
yes,
don't teach sexual education.
yes,
People
yes,
just repress. People
mm,
just teach how to repress. And this is something
yeah,
like a forbidden issue. Like if you
yeah,
didn't have, body,
yeah,
you just have mind. I would like to know how you feed your mind. How would you live without your body? Without body, how can you reach enlightenment?
yeah.
If you are a sick person, how can you be able to practice properly? Not possible. And we are here discussing monks, but I would like, as a female, to discuss nuns. Because
Yes.
then, please, then it's even, you know, nobody
The situation
supports
is even
nuns.
worse, right?
Nobody supports nuns. Nobody.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody cares about nuns. There are exceptions. Please don't get offended, because there are people that support nuns, and there are teachers, and especially in Vajrayana, they support nuns. But the
Yes.
majority, they don't care about nuns.
They
You
don't
know,
care. Yeah.
it's totally, nobody cares. Not only they, nobody cares about nuns. This is very
And
sad.
it's
And
very,
because
yeah.
nuns are very diligent practitioners, they
Yeah.
are very, very great,
Yeah.
engaged in practice, and totally devoted.
Yes.
So this is very sad. So and especially if you talk about Western nuns, wow, who support Western nuns?
Yes. Yeah.
Because Himalayan nuns, yes, people know, oh, yes, they are in monastery, they need support. They don't support much, but they give a little bit. And how about Western nuns? Those who are educated, who renounce to everything,
Hmm.
to be ordained, to go to here and there to live, and to be totally, like living by donations or by themselves. Nobody sponsors a nun.
I think there is a double. They end up in a almost like a trap that they ironically were can't do anything about, because
Mm.
many of them are born in a relatively privileged and, you know,
Yeah,
and by standards compared to, your average Nepalese or Indian,
yeah,
right? Who,
yeah,
quite well off. But the fact is that just because they were born well off, when you renounce everything, you do
yeah,
renounce everything,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then they end up in the like a cultural trap, right? Because they have, like a Western face,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that background.
Yeah.
Many of them might
Yes.
have had gone to university, so they've
Yes.
got a
Most of
degree.
them, they
Yeah,
have a degree. Yeah.
most of them, and
Yeah.
no, to put it crudely, no white woman makes the decision to ordain without
No.
having thought carefully and then made it out of her own free will. No one from that background, from a
Yes.
sociological perspective, is
Yes.
born and then, put into a
Yes.
nunnery. It
Yeah.
just does not happen.
No, they don't. They go by choice. Totally 100% aware of what they are doing. Renounce all the good life, capitalist style life in the West.
Yeah, many
So
of them would have, yeah, as we just noted, degrees, careers. Maybe they
yeah.
were even, CEOs or whatever.
Yeah, you
But
have Emma Slade example. Emma Slade, she was one
yeah,
big,
yeah,
auditor in a big company, and she renounced everything,
yeah, yeah,
big,
yeah,
big
yeah,
wage,
yeah.
everything to come, to Bhutan and to
I,
practice.
I think like there are examples can I think there are some examples that for example, Emma Slade, right? Like, so
Yeah.
she's one of those very self-confident and like
Yes.
um
Ayayeshe
unapologetic.
also.
Yes,
Ayayeshe also.
yes, yes. And like, I want to, since they're our friend as well, so like just want to
Yeah.
give her a shout out, like, in the midst of so
Yeah.
much so many challenges, to be
Yeah.
able to manage a non-profit in India, to be
Yeah.
able to purchase land in, I think, Tasmania, right? Tasmania.
Tasmania, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to Australia, my second home, right? Like, to
Yes,
be able to
yes,
do
yes.
that
Yeah.
is no mean feat. And even now, she's always fighting against online,
Yeah. Yeah.
misogyny and
Yeah.
trolls.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
And Emma Slade, yes, I'm talking about some people that, they are educated. Emma Slade, she had a wonderful career as an auditor in one of the big multi-level companies,
Yeah.
economical companies. And I don't know many people who will renounce her career in the West, to be a nun in
Yeah.
Bhutan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
really admire that. And then she writes a book. She try with this book, you see, to sell the book to get some funds.
Yeah.
You see, so they have totally different mindsets, totally different approach. They are not expecting donations all the time. They
Mm.
need to fight for them, and in the east, in the
Mm.
Himalayan region, nuns, they are also not expecting donations, but they always have a background. For example, Tenzing Palmo, she has got a nunnery, and she
Yes.
sponsors I mean, she has funds, or people sponsor her work and sponsor the nuns. So it's very different to be a Eastern nun and a
Mm.
Western nun.
So bringing up IISA, they did point out
Hmm.
the fact that
Hmm.
there is not a culture of um, donations
Yeah.
uh, uh, in the
Uh,
West
yeah.
as opposed to the East, and that I think that could be one of the interlocking issues, but I'm not sure if it's as clear cut as that, because we have some research to say that Americans, for example, are quite willing to give to charity.
Yeah.
Like Americans are actually quite generous if you look at the
Yes.
like the numbers of like the income and the proportion that they give away.
Hmm.
So um, and I also noticed that we had a question, but it disappeared. Could we? I was going to address the question. If
Please.
we could just make that
Uh,
appear once more. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah,
okay.
we were having too much fun. So Ram N says, I think some other religious organizations are more than ready to take these kids if Buddhist monasteries don't take them. I think this has to be thought through carefully. Very good point. Thank you, Ram N, very much for your comment.
Yeah.
That is thought provoking, isn't it? Like, who is going to
Yeah.
take so from the other side?
Hmm.
Who is going to take them? What are we going to do about these kids anyway?
We can talk about that because that is also part of my work in Asia.
Sure.
The problem in Asia, in South Asia,
Yeah.
let me say, because I don't travel Asia, South
Mm.
Asia.
Yeah.
Let's just focus in India and Nepal.
Yeah.
We have a big problem there, that is the familiar planning. Nobody, except in the big cities, they don't know nothing about this. So they have a lot of children in villages.
Yeah.
They are not ready. They don't have any sexual education. They are not aware of familiar planning. They don't even have hospitals or clinics over there. They have the children at home.
Yeah.
So they don't know. They married with 15, 16 years old. With 20, they already have 3 children.
Yeah.
So we are talking in contexts of, in India, maybe not so much in our days. I was very surprised in India this time. But in Nepal, yes, you have, we are talking about very poor
Mm.
people, very poor areas, very remote areas where almost no schools, no hospitals, nothing. People live from agriculture. And
Yeah.
most of the, for example, the male, they leave these villages to go to work to Qatar, to Dubai. Then the wives, they stay alone with 5, 6 kids. Then they
Yeah.
cannot feed them all. Of course, they send monastery. Where else? Because if they don't send monastery, kids cannot learn. They cannot learn how to write and read, so no future for them. They, at least in the monastery, they have a good place to eat, to sleep. You see, but as you said, monasteries are not orphanage. This is a problem that country needs to face.
Yeah.
This
Exactly.
is a political problem, and people in Nepal must begin to work and look at this directly and don't
Yeah.
pretend this, oh, we are very poor, poor of us, or this and that. No, they have responsibility because they vote. We also need, you see, to bring this to the South Asian context and say, look, you vote, you choose your leaders. If this is
Mm.
happening in your country, somebody put these people there. And they say,
Mm.
this is all corruption, this is that. We know we have corruption all over the world, even in Portugal. Even
Mm.
now, government all went down
Yeah.
because of corruption. But
Right.
please, I
Um,
cannot say, oh, this is corruption, I cannot do nothing.
yeah. Yeah. I think that's
No,
an attitude of cynicism. A
yep,
cynical attitude that
absolutely.
says, "Oh, we can't change, or we can't really do it much about it."
We are very poor, nobody cares about, we are very small country, blah, 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 blah. And they forget that a single man like Gandhi
Mm.
simply released a country like India.
Yeah.
But in India, things are different now, or beginning to be different, at least as far as I could realize. But
Yeah.
even so,
Mm.
even so, um, I think people also are not, they are too much in this donation system. Like, oh, we need this, we will donate because we are very poor, people will give immediately. And also in the West, there, I will say something that is very unpleasant,
Yeah.
but also in the West or in America or this or that, many people feel very good
Mm.
because they think, oh, I give this, this is not much for me, I can help. It's like I feel good with myself. But if
Yeah.
you ask them, please come here and help me doing this here in the field, they don't go.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
just like I give the money and then I'm very generous. This is not like that. Generosity, the best form of generosity is give your time,
Yeah.
not give your money. People don't need only money, they need your time, they need you.
Yeah.
This is the point.
And I would think that's an uncomfortable reality. That
Nobody wants, yeah. It's very good to give donation through your home and
Yeah.
stay in your good couch watching your wonderful favorite series on Netflix. This is nice. But
Mm.
going to a remote area in Nepal, have to sleep in places that I will not even mention. Please.
Yeah.
You don't see even many lamas doing that. How do you expect normal people to do? They don't have the example of their teachers.
Yeah. And so I think you mentioned a very important word, which is example, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Example, it's not just something that will make people feel good.
yeah,
Examples often make people think, hey, actually, no, this is possible. This is doable, because
yeah,
we often first think something is undoable
yeah,
until someone actually does it.
yeah.
So, in regards to expanding, like female presence and influence and numbers and just everything, right?
Hmm.
What would you like to see as examples, both from male and female?
I think, there are many misunderstanding and illusions around
Okay.
these things.
Yeah.
Because the first thing is, in the East, many people think Westerns are very rich people. This is not true.
No.
This is the first myth that
Yeah.
needs to be demystified.
Mm. Yeah.
Because you arrive India or Nepal, they see you as a Western, they immediately think you are very rich. And
No.
if you are doing charity, they really think you are very rich, and they ask everything.
Mm.
And they think it's your obligation to give.
Yeah.
This is very wrong view because, for example, I do my things, I'm not rich.
Mm.
I do with my own resources, and I had to work a lot
Yeah.
to be able to go there and stay there for 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
I don't have a rich husband that
Mm.
support my activities, or funds
Yeah.
everything for me. I'm not
Yeah.
married with any rinpoche that has a
Yeah.
big name and oh, his wife is
Yeah.
doing this and this. No,
Yeah.
I do this by myself with my
Mm.
own resources.
Yeah. Very
So
often. Yeah.
people need to understand I'm not the only one. I know many people like me that go, stay, help a lot of people, do a lot of things with their own resources. They are not rich at all. Then they come back to the West, they work, and they go back again. This is
Yeah.
the first
Exactly.
misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Okay. And the second is, what do I like to see? I would like to see women more engaged uh, in the Dharma, but
Mm.
not engage only by writing text or going to conference or whatever. I would like to see women going to the field,
Right.
going like an expedition, but
mm,
a social expedition, and see, oh, we practice this. Now we
yeah,
are going to see how these people live. For example, I realize in Nepal, everybody follows the Buddhist community, mostly what I know, they follow Vajrayana. But what I realize is, for example, in the village, women,
yeah,
they are not taught the Dharma. They can be even Lama daughters, you
yeah.
know? They are not
They're
teach the
not taught,
Dharma.
right? Yeah.
No, they are not taught.
Mm,
Means this is not for female. Only the lamas and the sons,
mm.
they are taught.
What?
Now things
Yeah.
are changing. And for
Yes.
example, in Narayantan, in Sindhu Palchok, we start with that.
Yes.
Teach female, and they are wonderful practitioners. So
It's
how
very,
can you
very.
develop
Yeah.
a society if you don't teach Dharma to the women? And they are Buddhist. They are Buddhist because they born in a Buddhist family.
Yeah.
You see, they saw the father doing this ritual. They know how to say Om Mani Padme Om. But if you talk about Vajrayogini, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? They don't know.
But at the same time, as you said, all you need to do is give them access, and
Yes,
then
all you need to
you
do
can.
is give your time.
Yeah.
Go there.
Yeah.
Meet the reality. Don't talk because somebody told you. Just apply Buddha teachings. See by yourself. Then you take your own conclusion. Experience. Without experience, this is only books.
Yeah.
Books, abstracts, paper, academia. You please put your shoes on and go. This is my what I think it needs to change. People, instead of sitting and discussing this and that and this and that, and they put their shoes and they
Mm,
go. They see by themselves. And when they deal directly with the reality with these women and even with these nuns and even with these small monks and see
mm,
them cry for their mummies, you
mm.
know, they will feel, because there is nothing like feeling.
Yeah.
Only through direct sensation you can really
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
So this is what I really advise people to do.
So actually, from what I understand, we could easily envision, some sort of program being developed where you take
Yes.
a group of people, right,
Yes.
in both men and women,
Yeah.
to these places, and where
Yeah, I'm
there's an
planning to
actual
do
program.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we maybe so that could be the way forward. What do you think?
I think it is the future. Because you know what? I was telling you, going to tell you something. Yeah. Because of these conferences and these things, yeah, sometimes we participate in many conferences. It's good because, in a sense, it gives you some kind of credibility, let's say so, for do certain things. At least I talk by myself. Many things were kind easy for
Yeah.
me, for example, to visit, to approach, because
Yeah.
I participated in a conference and people knew my name, so they opened the door. You
Yeah.
see,
Yeah. Yeah.
this was a good, how do we say, introduction card
Yeah.
to begin a work. But the truth is that people many times are talking in conference about this and that. They are
Yeah.
totally unaware of the reality,
Yeah.
totally unaware, totally deluded in their academic views, in their papers,
Yeah.
and they don't know, for example, that women, they give labor at home without any condition, and to
Yes.
come to an hospital they have to drive 10 hours a jeep.
Yes.
So how can you fight against this? Only taking people to this place, see it by themselves,
Yes.
and
So
realize how much these people suffer, and they think, oh my goodness. And we are talking about investments. I did a presentation in China in 2016
yes.
about building a clinic in Sindapalchik district. We are talking about very low level of investment,
Yeah.
very low. So if you have a group of people that are really interested in help, but not only just sit in their chair giving the money, but also engage and giving their time, because
Yeah.
this is also good for us, for
Yeah.
Westerns, for Americans, because many people are lonely, they are depressive, they are full of problem. If they engage in this kind of social work, this is wonderful to their health, to their heart, you know
Yeah, I think what's very interesting is that given the epidemic of loneliness and sort of lack of purpose, in the
Absolutely.
West, like
Absolutely.
you at the same time have this idea of, oh, I don't want to get into any religion, like commitment to a religion is so passe and out of
Yeah.
fashion
Yeah, that
these
is true.
days. But at the same time, yeah, you could, if you're not an entirely selfish person, you could conceivably say, look, might as well help someone, you know might as well help someone in an even worse situation than me, and that can give you some sense of purpose.
But
um
this is not engagement with a religion. This is
no,
engagement
yeah,
with sentient beings,
yes, that's how
with
best to
helping
think.
others. It doesn't matter religion, anything. Christians also, for example, I saw that in Kalimpong. They do a wonderful job,
Yeah,
and they are Christians. I don't
yeah,
care. It's they are helping mother sentient beings. This is what I care. I'm not attached to my religion or to this thing or to that thing. I
yeah,
am worried about do something useful before I close my eyes and die. This is what I'm worried about. I
yes.
want to leave this world better than I found it.
Mm,
I don't care if it is in a religion or out of a religion. I care about sentient beings. If I see them as my sons or daughters, I need to do something. I cannot sit in my sofa.
yeah.
So I'm so sorry to be like this,
No, I mean that's what this stream is for. We
but it's
have a
true
good
because
a
I
good
see many
good
people
discussion.
talking about this, that, but then you need them to go here or do this and put in the practice.
Yeah,
Uh, they say, "Oh,
I
I give you the money. You then like you do for me. You pray for me. You do the practice for me. You accumulate the merits for me. I can do everything. I don't mind. But then don't complain that you feel useless, that you are depressive, that this and that.
mm,
There are
I think,
so many good things to do.
well, I think that's that harkens back to the Western disembodiment, right? Like you're kind of like separated from
Yeah,
the like you're
yeah,
separated from physically, right?
yeah,
And I think, of course, you need the access, and
yeah.
you do need the infrastructure, and so that's what you're on your way to, organizing, getting some trips organized to be for people to be able to actually do it.
I'm planning to do that, but these social trips is not trips to visit monuments. They can also visit because they will have free time, but
Yeah, for
it's to
sure.
volunteer, to give
To
their
volunteer.
skills because
Yeah,
they have skills. They can give
yeah,
their skills to the children, to the women, a few hours a day, and then we can visit Parping and visit the monuments. You see, you can use the something that is pleasant, same time is useful. You
mm,
join the two together. This
mm,
kind of thing I want to do in the future. Not only guide people to this place, to that place of the Buddha. That's very nice. But Buddha said, do something. He didn't said, come to visit me.
mm, yeah,
So I decide to do together. I'm planning now that I renounce to my business and to everything.
mm,
I have time to go and stay 3 months like I stayed in Asia and
yeah,
go here and there, and so many places that I can do that. It's
yeah,
more easy for me now to compromise with people there and in projects because I have time
yes,
and I can take volunteer people with me because many people said, "Oh, I want to go with you in your journeys and I want to be volunteer there. That must be so wonderful." I said, "Yes, but you also must be ready for what you are going to see."
yes. So that's a big
Sometimes
part
it's
of it.
not like the dream you have. Oh, I'm going there, I'm going to help. Because when you deal with certain environments, of a lot of poverty, lack of resources, not proper water. You cannot
Yeah,
even shower yourself. You have to adapt to sleep in sometimes in the floor, in the I don't even mention the conditions, blah blah blah. And go with the jeep that is all broken for hours. I could put some videos about my journeys in Nepal
mm,
in the jeeps, about
yeah,
coming with drink people sharing a jeep because
yeah,
I didn't have my driver. I'm not a rich person. I have to share a Jeep
yeah, exactly.
with ordinary people, and people were drunk. And it was so funny, I must tell you. It
Yeah,
was,
yeah,
but I see. Are you ready to deal with these realities?
yeah, and
This,
I think,
this is what I ask people. Are you ready?
yeah. Are
I'm
you
ready.
ready? Yeah, you
I
oh,
think
you
many
know, yeah,
people, I think many people are ready. It's just they don't know because they never try. They
yeah.
feel a bit like getting out of the comfort zone. And oh, this is kind of scary. I don't know the language, I don't know the culture, I don't know they begin with the don'ts instead of the do's.
Mm.
Ah,
But I think it also challenges people in a way that they did not expect. So,
yeah,
there's a sort of dichotomy thinking. It's like, oh, I'm
yeah,
going to feel good.
yeah,
I'm going
yeah,
to enjoy my time here, right?
yeah.
But then, as you said, like
And
there,
learn and practice.
yeah, there is this actual additional dimension
Yes,
that is built into the
yeah,
experience of unpleasantness, the
yes,
experience of being dirty, the
yes,
experience of having no access to like everyday conveniences,
yes,
and in that respect, um, it's a hindrance. In that
yeah,
respect, not being adequately prepared for that,
yeah,
you end up sort of being shocked, or
yeah,
being less
absolutely.
help than you hoped. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's
Mm.
why I think for this kind of thing, when many people write and say, I want to volunteer to your organization or to this, to the children, I always said, no, we should do like an interview first to
Yeah.
see if the person, what are their skills, what are their experience, what are they used to
Yeah.
see if they were able to do a trip like this. Other way,
Yeah.
they will arrive in Delhi and they will go back in the next plane.
Yeah. I mean,
That
there would be.
happens. That
Yeah.
happens. I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
joking
Yeah.
with the cultural shock.
I
That
think.
happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is understandable, yet also a little bit sad. Like
Yeah.
you go there. You spend so much money and time, and then you just go there, and then you say this is not for you. I mean, like, but
Yeah.
this is.
Yeah.
Wasn't this what you were hoping for? To experience this side. You know.
I think people are, I always tell here when in the West, when I arrive, I always say, please stop complaining. I
Yeah.
cannot hear this anymore because people complain here because today is not good weather,
Yeah.
because their sister didn't came up for dinner. These are
Yeah.
their complaints.
Yeah.
And I always say, please, when you don't have food in your table, you can't complain. You don't know what is life. You need to go some places to see what is life
Yeah.
and to understand they really have reason to complain. You don't.
No.
So, this is another thing. We are beginning in the West to live in very depressive societies. Young people trying to commit suicide, the levels are super high
Yeah.
because they
Quite
have
high. Yeah.
everything. They have everything. They have social media, they have mobile phones, last generation, they have everything. They just don't have the basic, more important thing. They don't
Mm.
have their father's attention, father and
Yes.
mother.
Yeah.
So, see, they always mobile, games,
Yeah.
no
Yeah. Yeah.
attention. So they
Yeah.
live alienated. One day they think, what is the meaning of life? I have everything, laptop, this, that. I live in this beautiful condo. I have food in my table. But what is my life purpose? Zero.
Yeah.
So this is what we need to bring and be very aware. I'm not only the mother of my daughter, I feel the mother of the young generation.
Yes.
I feel responsible as a Dharma person to take care of the next generation because if we don't take care of the next generation, where is the Buddhist values going to?
Yeah. And it's something that you've also posed as a broader question to the Buddhist community, which is,
Of course.
and this has relevance in gender, right?
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
the future direction. Where are we
Yeah.
headed? Where are we
Yeah.
headed with this demographically? Because
Yeah.
the numbers don't look good, right?
Yeah.
The numbers don't look good, and there is a real danger of the teachings not being inherited by enough people. So.
And then you see, for example, in the normal world, 21st century, who is doing and implementing change? For
Mm.
example, this girl, Greta, this Swedish girl, you
Greta
see?
Thunberg, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. She is, look at her age, look what
Mm.
she does.
Mm.
Her social activism.
Yeah,
See? Where did she get the inspiration? By her own awareness.
by
So
her own
this
awareness.
in
Yeah.
inner Dharma youth, this is so important. Why discuss this and that, so philosophical thing? It is important, but
Mm.
it's more important to discuss what is just in front of our nose.
Yeah.
That is our youth running away from Dharma. They are not interested. They think this is boring. They think this is philosophical. They think they have to be monastic. They think, oh, this is very complicated words. Oh, for me to follow Buddhism, I need to understand this. Oh, you know, I
Yeah.
prefer to
They're
be
turned off
on
by that. Yeah.
Instagram. Oh my goodness. No, you just need to simplify. I was in a conference in Kalimpong where I talk about a certain subject I will not mention, but it was about Guru Padmasambhava and his concert. In the end, many youth came
Yeah.
and they want to do many questions and know about, oh, we can practice and have lay
Yeah.
family. Oh my God, I'm so interested in that. You see, if you show people you can practice the Dharma and have
Yeah.
a normal life and be very engaged, you just need to be aware it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Very, very difficult to be a lay practitioner.
Yeah. It is.
To
It is
have a
hard.
family, to pay bills, to worry about your finances, to worry about everything, your kids, everything, and then even practice the Dharma. Wow, this is
Yeah.
very
Exactly.
difficult. So that is what you need to prepare the youth for. Like, if you can be a wonderful Dharma practitioner and have a normal life, this is
Yeah.
21st century.
Yeah. It is. It is. It is
Please,
the 21st century, and
everything will be, as you say, artificial intelligence, you know, like we have now technology, everything. So if we begin to lose the basic human values, where are we going to?
yeah,
This
exactly.
is this is my question. And I can only trust the children and the youth because
Yeah.
they are the ones who are going to be here to lead in the future.
Yeah.
I'm not much worried about me. I don't have much time, but they have.
Oh, no, don't say that. Like
No,
you're only just beginning, and I
it's
think
true. It's
I,
totally true.
I think part of the problem, and like from gender to youth, I mean that there is a continuum here actually,
Yeah.
is the idea of Gen Z, right? And because Gen Z is very much globalized, so it's not actually limited to a single culture anymore. We can't we don't you know Western kids are not siloed in one tower
Yeah.
while
Yeah.
South Asian kids are siloed in another. Actually, there's a lot of
No, there is a lot
cross,
of cross. Yeah.
and a lot of it is fear and
Yeah.
terror and confusion. Like
Yeah.
the world has
Yeah.
fundamentally
Yeah.
um, grown darker
Yeah.
for all sorts of reasons. And actually there are a lot of parties to blame, but it is just not. It is worrying when you are in this situation, but the young people do not even have a guiding light.
Yeah. That is the point. They don't have an example, a reference
Yeah,
point.
yeah, exactly.
So I think for me, leadership is only done by example.
Yep.
We need everything need to be rethink it, in my opinion. It's not
Rethink,
only
rethink,
the
yeah.
political in the world, the war, the leaders. Even in Buddhism, everything needs to be a bit rethink it. You
A,
know.
sort of like a new thought, rethought, and reconceptualized. But how
Yeah.
can we?
Just
Yeah.
yes, please.
But
How can?
how can that be done? I think like you do think it starts at a grassroots level with like with things like your group, like you take people who usually don't think about these things, and then you take them to South Asia, right? And
Mm.
then that's when the change and transformation begins.
Hmm.
Or do like maybe like we continue to do the conferences. It's like when we try to appeal to the great and mighty powers that be, right?
Yeah, but the problem is that we do the conferences, things happen inside that room.
Yeah,
Next day, nothing happens.
yeah, and we've experienced this before.
So I ask myself, it's okay. We go conference. We do something with a very good purpose and very good motivation. That is what
Yeah,
matters.
yeah,
But the intention also is to implement what we are talking about there.
yeah,
It's not just talk, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Because other way, we build a school and we give classes. We don't do conferences.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think, the way to implement it is by example.
Yeah.
It's just you walk the talk.
Walk the
That's
talk.
simple.
Exactly. Yeah.
You talk about this. You talk about poverty. You talk about female. You talk about children, illiteracy. Then you show people, look, I'm not only talking, I'm here. I do.
Yeah.
But
You
I
do.
need your help to do. I
Yeah.
cannot do alone. This is not only my job. I engage in this.
Mm.
Would you want to engage also? There is space for you. Please come.
And this goes back to the concept that um, you teach best through example.
I think it's the only way to teach.
Mm.
You can teach many things by mouth, but
Yeah.
next week people don't remember you. But if you teach by example,
Yeah.
people will remember you many, many lives in the future.
Yeah.
You see
Absolutely.
great leaders like Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, they teach by example.
Mm.
They said, I have to stay in jail for the freedom of my country. Let's go. Nobody forgot them.
But like, and here's a very selfish question. For
Yeah,
those of us ordinary, deluded, and
totally deluded.
attached, absolutely deluded, I count myself among them. Yeah, I'm not anyone. I'm no Mandela. I'm no Gandhi. And that's the question.
Zero,
There's
zero.
the question. Like
Yeah,
you do invoke these great figures of history,
yeah,
like sort of almost of Napoleonic scale,
yeah,
like it's like one guy or one person changing the whole
yeah,
world, right?
yeah.
But like how can we move toward that? But like
How do
as you
they start?
mm,
They had aspiration.
yeah.
They had a dream.
Mm,
They thought, I will not change the world, but I must do my part.
mm,
And they start to do their part and they begin to inspire other people to do like them
yeah,
through example.
yeah,
So many people begin to do like them. So in the end, they did a change because everyone did their part. If
mm,
we do our part, I do my part when I go. If tomorrow you come with me, you are doing your part,
yeah,
but you are helping me. And if somebody joins you and joins me, and then we are 10. We are doing our own part, but we are
yeah.
doing something together that is going to grow.
Perhaps the
That's
most
why we are all interdependent and everything doesn't work alone. We need
yeah,
each other always.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think the most sort of like perhaps the most realistic but responsibility that everyone has is to figure out their part. And so you don't need to do anything big. No one's asking you to
No,
chase a
no,
big part, but
no.
you do have to have a part, and
Yes,
you have to allow you have to have faith in yourself that you have a
absolutely.
part.
Yeah. You have to, yes, you have to have faith in yourself, in the teachings. I have
Yeah,
a lot of faith in the Dharma. I have a lot of faith in the Buddha
yeah,
as a human being, as an example. I follow Buddha as an
yeah,
example. If he leave, if he left his palace,
yeah,
renounced to all this life, came to see the audible suffering outside those walls,
yeah,
engage with this suffering,
yeah.
begin to analyze it,
Right.
and said, there is a higher purpose in this, then what can I ask more for? This is the highest inspiration of all.
Yeah,
So I don't need nothing else to inspire me, just Buddha example and Sujata. When I see somebody dying, I feel it because it can't be Buddha. I don't know.
that is actually, as we harken back to the beginning, like this feminine role model who was at once the most
Yeah,
incredible
yeah.
savior of the Buddha.
The
She saved him.
for Yeah, but also that there is also male model
Yeah,
because if you go to old stories from Prato Rinpoche and great bodhisattvas, They give their lives. They said they didn't mind to lose everything to save other people's life.
yeah,
So I'm giving Sujata because we are talking about female in the Dharma, and she was the first. Nobody talk. And Buddha
yeah,
mom, Buddha
yeah,
mother. Oh, you know. So that's when I did a report in a place in my last journey to Nepal. When I saw Ananda, wow, I was very grateful to him. And I
yeah,
said, thanks to Ananda, we women, you know, we could have something interesting
yeah,
in the
exactly.
Dharma.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think that's also important.
Yeah.
And we probably have about 10 minutes, not 10
Mm.
minutes, 15 minutes
Mm.
before we finish this, more or less finish the stream, unless you want to continue, because
No, no, no,
um,
please. I know it's late in Malaysia, and also, you know,
yeah,
please. But I
it
can
is.
continue if you are able to have the patience to listen to me.
Oh,
I'm no
well,
problem.
all day, all day. And it's interesting. We haven't had too many questions. So if you're watching and have any feedback or ideas about what we've been discussing, please don't hesitate. Like this the format of this live stream, and I'm saying this to anyone who's out there, our live audience, is open discussion. And we, as you can tell, we are not really giving any sort of formal lecture or formal
No.
speeches like that. um, I've made it clear to my hosts, I'm hosting this on behalf of Sattva Project, is to please jump in with questions, and we will actually stop our conversation and we'll talk about what's being mentioned. But as we talk about that, like, men have an important part to play.
Yes.
And I think it has to be, so it just like East and West, like no one's more valid than the other. It has to be a
No.
mutual learning experience, right?
Yeah.
What about the place of men, because in addressing patriarchy, in
No.
address,
Men don't address patriarchy. This is, I'm very positive person. And I
right,
saw by my own example also. By my own
yeah,
example, I mean by my own experience.
yeah,
I see, for example, in this village, in Sindapalchuk, I still insist because it's the project I have that we have there in Nepal,
yeah,
not me. We have, and
yeah,
it's managed by Lama Karma Sangye.
yeah,
He also renounced. He also is teaching Dharma in the village to the women, not only teaching children to read and write.
yes,
He
exactly,
also is teaching the Dharma to the women and
yeah,
practice. He's teaching their tradition because they born Buddhist,
yeah,
but they didn't knew nothing about Dharma. So now he's teaching them. And
mm,
I think this is something very important, for example, for Nepalese people, for
yeah,
for Buddhist community in Nepal and in India, because nobody, does this.
yeah,
It's only like in monastic, then only these big uh, lamas, kempos, geshes, whatever, and then the monks. But monks, they have a role. The role of a monk, of a lama, is to serve the community.
yeah.
It's nothing else.
It's
So
nothing else,
this,
is it?
it's nothing else. So the way he should go to CEO or other job.
Yeah,
His job is to serve the community and to serve the Dharma.
yeah,
So he is a good Lama, he is an experienced person, etc. Why doesn't he go to a village to teach his people? Why he goes to Hong Kong and Malaysia and here and the West?
yeah. And I think that's another uncomfortable question.
I
Is
don't care. It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, no, no, not at all. It's great to raise them.
You have so many people to teach in your own places. Why you
Mm,
go here and there and there? I know, of course, you must come to the West, you must come to Malaysia, Hong Kong. That is not discussable. You have to go because you have many people there wanted to practice the Dharma. But also you have so many people in the village. Why you don't go there?
yeah,
I'm not talking, for example, my teacher, Dilgo Khinsi Yangsi Rinpoche, he goes to the village. I must say publicly, I'm very proud of my teacher. I don't care what people say or not about him, but I'm
mm,
very proud of him because
mm,
he's giving the example. He's showing, he's going to villages in Nepal.
He's walking the
giving
walk. Yeah.
empowerments. He's giving empowerments to the people, the Sherpa communities. He's root guru students, very old people. So I said, what? This is what a great Lama must do. Of course, you must teach also Western student, Eastern, it doesn't, African, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But you need to begin to realize you have so many lamas in Nepal, please. I see so many lamas there, so many monks, so many people that are lamas. Why they don't go, to the villages in
Mm.
India and in Nepal and in Bhutan to teach the village people, to give them education, value, spiritual education?
And this
Ah,
is actually one of those where you do have a lot of potential.
of
I think
course.
I think the potential of these villages has been overlooked, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
I consider this my village now. And I must tell you, I've been there, and I have been doing my, how can I say? I've been doing practices and film. I'm not a reporter or a journalist. I did this amateur, totally 100% amateur, but I put
Yeah.
everything on YouTube channel.
Yeah.
People can see all these women practicing shirt, all these women doing Avalokiteshvara Puja, because they were taught by this Lama.
Yes.
They only have 2 years of study.
Yeah.
You
No,
understand?
so there we go. Like they learn
And
quicker.
yeah, and even now the men, the husbands begin to think, oh, my wife is always busy on the weekend
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
she's going to shirt classes. Then they begin to come and they
Mm.
begin to practice.
Mm.
So it's very interesting. Then you begin to see the children interested. Oh, my parents, what are they doing? Then parents at home begin to teach Buddhist values
Mm.
since little kids because
Yeah.
they are learning the Dharma. This is very, very important if you want to maintain the Dharma alive. You start in your own place.
Yeah.
India, Nepal, Bhutan. You start there. You look at Bhutanese youth, they are all leaving. Nepali youth, they are all leaving country due to poverty
Mm.
and because no future.
Yeah.
So you see, is this what you want? No, you want a spiritual youth,
Yeah.
a better world in the future, a youth with values, not somebody that is waiting for their parents with a mobile phone, always
You want.
seeking attention.
Yeah. You want to hand down a country that your children will feel is worth living in, rather
Yeah,
than they're trying to get the hell out of. Right.
yes.
Um, Ram N says, from my observation, I feel that more
Mm.
lay women are interested in Dharma than lay men. The interest in Buddhism lineages from Tibet seems to be increasing in a big way. Okay. Thank you for your comment, Ram N.
This is a bit true, but we must say something here about the Buddhist lineage from Tibet seems to be increasing in a big way. That is true.
Yeah.
Why? My question to Ram is why? Why they are increasing in a big way, the
Yeah.
interest in Buddhist lineage from Tibet? There are many things about Buddhist lineage. I give you the suggestion, Raymond, to
Yeah.
organize a talk with experts about this,
Yeah.
about Buddhist lineage from Tibet, because there are many lineage in Tibetan Buddhism that nobody knows.
Yes. Not nobody
People
knows.
only
This is very
search
interesting.
for
Yeah.
the big ones.
The big four. Yeah.
No, please go and search also for the very small ones that keep the treasures.
Mm.
And I think they are very important. And some they can even die because they don't have the, like lineage order, or they are renounced
Yeah.
because they don't identify with this system.
Yes.
So
So they.
change is needed.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll also add that to our list of live stream topics, because I think in the future,
Yeah.
like, yes, the big four drive a lot of Buddhist news.
Yeah.
They shape the agenda a lot. But as Buddhists, do we really want to see these lineages from elsewhere?
Yeah.
Who who have just as much claim to legitimacy and authenticity, right? Do they
Yes.
to die out? You,
Like Shatra Rinpoche said, even a beggar can be a lineage holder. And I will not go further in this topic, because you just read Shatra Rinpoche words and the explanation he gave about that. Even a beggar can be a lineage holder, and it doesn't mean because you sit in a high throne you are a great lineage holder. You know, so that is true. In our days, people search because you have a lot of good marketing around great lamas also, and around
yeah,
great monasteries and around many things. And that's what I was trying to say. You don't see many people going to villages and spending their times with village people and going to give empowerments and teachings there. There is a reason.
yeah.
So people must think about that.
And I think at the of course many people are attracted to sort of like prestige and numbers and
Yeah,
that
and be
and
part of a group, with a fashion lama. I will not go further.
as you as I think you and I are both alluding to the point that if you neglect the small things, the negligible things,
Yes,
the invisible things, the ones who are not like all fancy and uh, eventually the foundations become brittle. And so I think it's not just on your lips, it's not on my lips.
yes,
It is the talk of every private
yeah,
conversation of every
yes,
Buddhist leader. And
yeah,
we don't need to pretend. I think everyone is concerned that
yeah,
we that the tradition is becoming brittle. And
yes,
all it takes is one demographic disaster. All it takes is, you know, one generation that does not absorb the teachings or does not care about it anymore, and then
yeah,
we are in big trouble.
yeah. And especially if he was talking about Tibetan Buddhism in particular, right? The
Yeah.
lineages. If you begin to lose your heritage,
Hmm.
the heritage is not, in Hong Kong, Malaysia, France, here and there.
Hmm.
Heritage is in Nepal, in India, and in Bhutan, and
Yes.
Indonesia,
Yeah.
and China, Thailand,
Hmm.
Myanmar. So please focus on that. Japan,
Yeah.
please. So instead of going, turn this side, we really
Yeah.
need. But keep the heritage alive is very important for the foundation, as you said. I
Yeah.
totally agree, 100%.
Absolutely. So look, I think we have we have just gone on a whole roller coaster ride of all different topics. We went
Yeah,
way beyond,
yeah,
the
yeah,
women aspect, but
yes,
I think we did actually cross over into East and West. And
yes,
so, in that sense, I think it lays a strong foundation for future conversations
yeah,
about, you know, a cross-cultural dialogue about, like how Buddhism, consolidates around strong foundations, not just
yes,
around gender, because we talked
yes,
about that at the beginning,
yes,
but also how it navigates, all these differences between cultures and comes out stronger.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It was a pleasure for me, Raymond. I hope women are not disappointed because we didn't talk much about the issue, but I think we talk a lot about the issue,
Yeah.
in a very skillful way and very subtle way. If women are aware, they have here a lot of points to go and engage in the Dharma.
Yeah, I
Trust me.
think yeah, we didn't set out with some sort of like overtly, this word must appear
Yeah,
every few seconds. But I think, as you said, there are a lot of interconnected issues
it is.
that actually might be more comprehensive than other discussions that we've had, because you can't discuss things in a vacuum.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like I really thank you for your
No,
time.
I thank you
um,
for your kindness in inviting me.
yeah, and also wish you a very happy birthday for tomorrow. So that I know that,
Ah,
I know,
thank you.
so I'm well aware of that. Like I hope
Please.
yeah, hope you have a
Thank you so
fantastic day
much. Thank
tomorrow.
you so much. Yes, it's quite special to me. Thank you
And
so much.
so
Not
I'm
because my birthday, but because it has a meaning, a hidden meaning behind. So thank you so
yes.
much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Thank you, Raymond.
Thank
Really.
you so much, and I see that we actually still have a couple, a few people watching. I encourage you next time and in future episodes, don't be shy to ask questions. We're really
Please.
here for a chat. This is not a lecture,
Yeah.
and so it'll be my pleasure to field questions for future guests, and we'll have you on sometime soon in the future. And uh, thank you so much, and let's have a very good
Oh,
night.
Swampa Zimba, how are you, sweetie? She's from Siliguri.
Oh, yeah, okay, well, yeah,
Yeah,
and even
yeah.
comments like this, like interesting, or drop by and say hello. Like, we really appreciate.
I could not meet her in Siliguri, unfortunately. She's so
And
sweet.
thank you, Ram,
Thank
and
you very much. Thank you
thank you
very
for your
much.
questions and for your questions, and
Oh,
thank
yeah. How are you? Thank you.
no, 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 yeah, even if it's a thank you,
Yeah,
do say it, do say
yeah.
it.
It's always nice
It
to
really
hear from
encourages
friends.
us. It
Yeah.
really encourages us, and you can say hello and stuff like that. So
Thank you
uh,
so much.
a very
Thank you
good
so much.
afternoon to you, a very good night to everyone from my end, and we'll have another episode next Friday
Can
with
I
us.
request one thing, Raymond?
Oh, yeah, go on.
My birthday gift.
Yes,
Can we dedicate this small interview, this thing, whatever, to the for the welfare of all sentient beings, and especially for this war, to find a way to enter in a peace mode, please? I would like to dedicate for that. Is
yes,
it
please.
possible?
Will you lead it? All right.
No, no. We just
Yeah.
think we don't need to chant nothing. Just intention is everything. So
Yes,
I would like to just leave these last words for peace. Thank you so
certainly.
much.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye
Have a
bye.
good night, and
Namaste.
bye bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
good
you,
night.
Raymond. Always
Bye
lovely
bye.
to see you. Bye. Bye.